Hi there, this is a ComfyUI video, very simple one, using image to image and how I use image to image. So this is just my setup, and I don't want to do photographic things. A lot of image to image stuff I see is photographic, making very photoreal things, and that's not really what I want to do. So I'll run quickly through my layout and why things are as they are. So my checkpoint is the Dream Shaver Turbo because it's very quick and very good as well. It's a really great checkpoint. Many of the checkpoints you see are just merges, and loads of LoRa's merged in and that, and they're often uncontrolled, which can be good in some ways, I suppose. So I've got two LoRa's in here. One is Streamline, which is it smooths things off and fancies things up, and it's essentially there to add detail and refine the detail. And it's coming in at 0.5, so it's not really strong. It's a very strong LoRa. It'll walk all over your image if you like. The other one I have set at a higher level is one that is made from Leonardo da Vinci's pen drawings, because what I want is a drawn style, and really most checkpoints, most of the images in them are photographs, so they are fairly reluctant to do a drawn image rather than a photographic one. Not impossible, but they need some persuading, shall we say. So you can have many variations of this. So you could put a comic strip based one instead of the Da Vinci. You could put any number of ones in here to add the fancying. There's lots of detailers and stuff that just add complexity and make the detail make more sense, essentially. The rest of it is a very straightforward basic setup for a turbo. I'm using 10 steps because I think that it looks pretty rubbish at 8 or even 6. It's very fast, but it's rubbish. I'm using the Keras sampler and so on, and everything else is pretty much plain vanilla. So I have my prompt. I've got a few negatives. These ones, I don't want random people. And these ones are just to reinforce the not photographic. Now the prompt reflects that. So let's do the style ones. So we've got two LoRa's, the trigger words for the LoRa, and then the rest of these are all style. Illustration, dramatic light, shadows, pen drawing, sepia. You don't need... I've got a comic style illustration, a cathedral. You don't need the A's. It makes no difference if you have the A's or not. I've got plenty of room in this prompt, and don't have too much in your prompt. So if I've got an image, here's my base image, which is an oil painting I did of Salisbury Cathedral. For your initial prompt to get the whole lot working, I just describe what is in the image. So we've got roofs, we've got chimneys, we've got trees, we've got sky, we've got cathedral. So we've got cathedral, roofs, chimneys, trees, sky. The mix between conditioning, your prompt, and the image, Salisbury Cathedral, is controlled by the denoise. So at 0.5, the text and the painting have equal weight, or that's the way I assume it is. So we'll put that on 0.5 and see what we get. So here we are. So it's quite nice. We've got a little bit too much in the sky, maybe. At mixed levels of 60%, I think we'll start to get artifacts in the sky. So the thing now is to decide what you don't like and what you would prefer. So, and also some things it's not worth prompting against. There's rather too many skylights, but really I can take some of them out in Photoshop, and it's far easier to do that than try try to put negative prompts in to get rid of skylights. The one thing I think is going to cause trouble are the lines in the sky. So I'm going to add one word, clear, and I'm going to fix my noise seed. But because if I don't fix the noise seed, I won't know if my change of word had any effect at all. So does clear sky matter? Will it understand clear sky? Will it clean up the sky a bit? We don't know. So all we can do, see, the sky does have stuff going on in it. So that is going to be picked up, and something's going to happen there. I'm not worried about a few things I can Photoshop out, but you'll see in later ones stuff in the sky can go a little bit crazy. So we'll cue that prompt. Okay, the sky hasn't changed a great deal, but the rest of it has changed a lot. So this tells us that our prompt, our setup, is very sensitive to the words used. So it's very responsive, and that's great. So just by changing a word here and there, I can get really quite big changes. Now, I much prefer this image. Even though I added clear to the sky, it has done quite nice things to all the buildings. So I'm happy with that, and I will stick with that seed. The skylines in this, I don't mind. It's rationalised the skylines a little bit. So that's fine. I think we'll get dark lines in the sky at some stage. So I think 50%, 40% is fine. If we go to 50, we'll see what happens. So we'll try 50. And the thing is to test the various levels. That may be a little bit too much. So let's go down to 0.35, which increases the strength of this image. So this image is now having more. This process, by the way, works much better with a painted image than it does with a photograph. For my tastes, anyway. Depending on what you want, you can try anything. But once you've got a setup that's working fine, so this is quite a simple setup, and it's all, it's producing nice images consistently, then you can incrementally change things, but don't go making wholesale changes everywhere, because then you don't know how the change has moved through the system. So if you've changed 3 things at once, you have no idea which of those changes made any difference. So for this, the prompt is the same, the seed is the same, everything is the same. The only thing I have changed is the influence of this image here. So we'll see what changes that has. It should bring it closer to our starting image. And here we go. So this is 3.5, and this is very nice. I like this. We've got much more rational roof architecture. We've got a few marks in the sky, but they're an easy Photoshop. I won't worry my little head about them. The trees are nicely arranged. It's followed these shapes quite nicely as well. The cathedral is nice. It's almost recognisable as Salisbury Cathedral. So we've got everything mentioned in the prompt. We've got a clear sky, we've got roofs, chimneys, we've got trees, we have our cathedral. And we have the feel and atmosphere. You see these roofs, red roofs, having influence, but it's not dominating it so much it can't unify that roof, for example. And as we increase the influence of the image, the influences of the LoRa and the 2 LoRa's also reduces, so it gets a little less fantastical. It gets quite a lot less fantastical, really. I'd like it a bit more fantastical than that, I have to say. So we'll start getting really refiney, and we'll go 3.7, which means the painting here has 63% of the influence, and the prompt has 37%. So we launch it for that. Okay, that's back. Almost no effect. The effect is minimal. I can see a few little changes. So we'll go 1 notch up. We actually have less of these lines, so I think we're around 45 seems to be a sweet point. What I will do now is test how reactive it is to altering the prompt. So I'm going to add a single word. I'll just add futuristic. Now this will affect our streamline LoRa because that's sci-fi. So if I put futuristic in, the LoRa is going to grab hold of that. And I'm predicting it'll make quite a big change. Because I'm recording this in a video, it probably won't. So here we go. And there we go. It has gone wild. Nothing has changed, only one word. And it hasn't really gone futuristic. But it has gone more interesting. It's actually, if you'll notice, become a little bit more coherent. These glass domes and so forth here have become more coherent. The sky hasn't changed. The cathedral has barely changed. But the areas that in the previous image were a little incoherent have now become coherent. We now know that our setup here is very responsive to adding a word. So that means that we can alter and manipulate the image, and we're staying on the same seed. So I would like a little bit more tree. So what I can do to get that is to weight the trees. So if I weight the trees with this syntax, as you see here, dramatic light shadows, etc. I'll go 1.3. I see I'm well under the 70 tokens in here, so all of those words in there will be having an effect. So there's no words. If you have more than 70 odd tokens in here, i.e. the number of chunks the AI will break the quote up into. If you have more than 77, it'll start ignoring them. You can break them into chunks of 77, but as you add one item, it reduces the strength, inevitably reduces the strength of all the others a little bit. Not that I don't throw words in like mad sometimes, but we will try that later on. But so let's see, I've upped the trees, so I can have a few more trees, and there we have it, more trees as advertised, and the rest of it hasn't really changed. So in this way you can target your changes and you can develop your image, and what you're doing is nudging it in the direction you want. So this is, I think, pretty nice now. It's pretty much what I was hoping for from the image, and it's got quite a sort of magical character to it. I love the faded blues and so on. So it's taking those blues from the image, and these colours here are coming from the image, but they're being reinforced by the sepia in here. So we're getting a narrow, tasteful colour range, a harmonious colour range. Most AI images I see are horribly oversaturated and crude colour-wise and composition-wise as well. So the composition is being dealt with the painting. So, you know, I'm getting a nice composition every time with my cathedral spire on the thirds. My horizon line is following the image, so the horizon lines, not in the dead middle, as I see so many generations with it dead in the middle, and so forth. So I hope that shows how you can iteratively improve your image, and I would suggest you do it in this way. You make changes, see what they do, abandon them if they don't work, etc. So what we have now is a system that's very responsive to changes. So I've kept my theme, and everything has stayed very nicely consistent. So let's have a look at how responsive it is. We could actually change our subject. Instead of a cathedral, we can have a castle. And there we have a castle with one word changed. Quite a nice castle. Rather too much on the trees. Trees are growing out their roofs there, so I think I'd row back on the trees. The shrubbery is overtaking it. Although if you like that number of trees, you could just change the seed and move it around from there. So we could, if we wanted to, ruin our castle. And there we go, it's ruined. It's not completely ruined, but it's pretty. So to make this more ruined, I would need to increase the power of the prompt. So, and if I do that, then all of this stuff in here will start to produce bits of building and stuff up there. So we'll load the version of this with a softened sky, and we'll see if it's done what we hope. So there you see, we've got a few little bits in the sky, but most of them have gone. Okay, so at that point, we'll take out the ruined, so we're not ruined anymore. So we'll go back to the more futuristic-y look. So with that gone, we can explore the outer limits a little bit, and everyone likes doing that. It's quite fun. So we go up to 5.5, and we can make it a bit more spiky. So what we'll do, we'll add another strong word, and because I've got plenty of room in my prompt, I can do this. I can add Gothic, and there we go. Quite a transformation. And notice how nice and clean the sky is now. So to try another seed. So go a few seeds on. Okay, that was quite a change. But my annoying bits of horizon, I've now got 2 annoying bits of horizon instead of 1. I won't worry about those. They're an easy fix. So I think we'll go back to a cathedral. But I think you get the idea. This is at the point where you can have fun with it. And I'm going to take out the sketch. If you have sections in your prompt that really don't seem to be doing much, then take them out, because they weaken. An unnecessary word weakens all the rest of the words. So this will be a big change, and this is what happens when you've got the prompt and the image and the prompt working together. So we've got our style stuff and our style stuff in the prompt, and our content stuff. Our content stuff is different. There's the thing itself, the illustration. This is the whole. There are the contents, subject, which is the cathedral roofs, clear sky, etc. And then more style. This is all style here. All linked to the first part here. So you can almost break it into 2 sections. That, only that, and this are the content. There's no other content. All the rest of it is manipulating the style and feel of the image. So let's see what the cathedral looks like. And there we go. There's our cathedral with glass roofs and God knows what else. And this, of course, is because we altered our LoRa up here. I would take that back to 0.5, back to 0.5. But all of these images are quite interesting and quite the consistency is pretty good. So, you know, our perspective is good. Everything flows into everything else quite nicely. And that's a lot nicer. We have a very coherent image. There's a few bits of nonsense, but pretty good generally. I would probably prefer it at 0.5, but that just totally depends on what you're aiming for. Once I had an image I liked, say we'll say that this isn't necessarily the one, but we'll say it's this one that I like. You know, we've got little bits of retouching here and there, but nothing very much. I would then leave all of this alone and just generate repeated generations with the seed on random, because I can, having got an image I like and is in the ballpark, because all this is working so well together, the images will all be nice, every single one of them, but obviously some will be nicer than others. So if I have the seed changing, then I'll get the spread of possibilities, and then I'll pick the one I like and take that off into Photoshop to deal with any bits I don't like. And also, once I had a spread of images, you'll find that many of the parts can be transferred to any of the other parts, so that you can take sections out of any of the images and drop them in to produce your final image. So I would always treat AI as a way to produce the material to make an image, not to produce the final image, because it will produce a final image, but only of very simple prompts, photographs or whatever. But I want more control than that over the whole procedure. So we'll have one more thing for entertainment value. I'll show you what happens when our prompt is allowed to go mad. So I'll go up on the image here is now only supplying 25% of the conditioning here. So there's 25% coming from this, and now there is 75% coming from this. So I expect it to go bonkers. I expect cathedrals in the sky. But you can literally go down from this figure until you get back to coherency. I mean, this is pretty coherent. As I drop down, it'll get more coherent. And there we go. Now, you'll notice one other thing that has happened. We haven't got cathedrals in the sky. That's because I cleaned up my sky. If the other sky would have produced cathedrals all over the place. One thing that has come through strongly are all of these style and drawing. So it was this image that was holding back the drawing stuff. So that's why I've got illustration 1.3, etc., and pen drawing and so on in there quite strongly, and the LoRa's quite strongly, so that I get my image. Now this image, this end, you could explore this end quite happily. You could even put a drawn image in here, illustrated image, even one of these in there, and that means that you could get a more drawn style still. So really experiment, because you can go mad, but going mad in AI is just all too easy. Having some control is the hard bit. So this is just part one. The next instalment will be using Photoshop to manipulate this image. So you're manipulating this image to go through other possibilities once you have a consistent result here. But that'll be part two, and will be as much Photoshop as Comfy, really. Okay, I hope that was informative, and thank you for your time, for watching, and that's all.